So the NFL season has started officially on August 1st, Thursday. This may come out on Friday morning, so I might be just a little bit behind on that retrospect. But either way, the NFL is here, it's coming, and it will be here throughout the duration of the fall and most of the winter and up until about late February. And kicking off the season, kicking off the Hall of Fame game is the Chicago Bears. And everyone is so excited every single year to have football back until you remember that preseason football is literally the worst. The Chicago Bears are not playing anyone worth noting. It's Tyson or Tyler Badgett. I would really worry about correcting that name, but it doesn't matter because if the Bears are starting Badgett, their backup quarterback, their season is likely over and irrelevant anyways. But here's what I do want to talk about. Caleb Williams, a guy that I've been highly critical of, probably more than a lot of people have been. I think Caleb Williams, before I really get into my concerns, has all the tools to succeed. I think he's one of the most talented quarterbacks we've had coming out of the draft. He's comped to the Trevor Lawrences, the Andrew Lucks. Clearly, only Andrew Luck has really panned out to this point. Trevor Lawrence isn't a bust, but he isn't exactly what we all thought he was going to be coming out of the draft. And Caleb Williams has set a very high standard. And everyone is very high on the Chicago Bears. And I'm just not there. I'm just not there on the Chicago Bears. Caleb Williams, I think, is going to be awesome. And it's never been the tangibles for me in Caleb Williams that I'm worried about. Crazy talented, arm strength off the charts, accurate, seems like a brilliant kid, at least on the whiteboard. The thing for me has always been personality driven. As a quarterback, you're just graded more harshly. I couldn't care less what the wide receiver of a team does, or a cornerback, as long as they're not hurting anyone, or an offensive lineman. They're not the leader of the team. They might be a part of the leadership group, but they're not the leaders. I've once called Caleb Williams the first taste of Gen Z. I put that out there on social media, and it did bonkers numbers, just crazy engagement. And for me, it's never been about, is Caleb Williams going to be a bust? I don't think that's it. Part of being a quarterback is getting your team to buy into you. Justin Fields is not a capable starting NFL quarterback. But man, did the Chicago's Bears roster buy into Justin Fields. And I said it for a long time. The fan base even bought into Justin Fields. I was like, okay, you can like the person and still realize the player is awful. That's what Justin Fields was. Caleb Williams is clearly superbly talented and way more talented than Justin Fields was coming out of the draft. It's always been the personality. It's always been the personality. Now, we've seen that recently there's been some good PR in Caleb Williams, but he's the first real taste of Gen Z in the NFL. Not literally. Clearly, Gen Z has been in the NFL for a couple of years now. But I mean the stereotypical Gen Z player. This guy already has his bag. He could never work out in the NFL. He could flop in the NFL. He will never have to work a day in his life. There's no pressure to succeed because if you don't, you're worried if you can feed your family. And that's where a lot of the greats come from. A lot of the greats make it out and are amazing because it's out of necessity. They have to succeed. There's no plan B. It's the Bronny James to LeBron Jr. comp. I think LeBron James knew he had to make it out. That was his plan A. There was no plan B. Bronny James, he's got a safety net of his father hanging under him for his entire life. He's not worried about what's going to happen next if he doesn't make it in the NBA. Similar to Caleb Williams, he doesn't make it in the NBA, or if he doesn't make it in the NFL, it doesn't matter. He made on average $7 million a year in NIL. He's set for life. He's fine. That's an insane number for a kid coming out of college. That was unheard of. That was illegal like 5 years ago. But now it's different. The game has changed. You're not coming in to the season as a hungry player just looking for that next contract. You're not coming as a player who's just looking for that next contract. And then Caleb Williams, he's done some strange things. Losing a third game and crying to your mother in the stands in front of everyone was strange. Painting your nails, I couldn't care less what anyone does with their nails. If they're a quarterback, you have to just acknowledge it's different. Caleb Williams writing F Utah on his painted nails. You just have to be honest. It's different. Most quarterbacks aren't doing that. It's a different way to be yourself in the NFL. And that's him. Maybe he's just being authentically himself. But I'm not sure if that kind of behavior and that kind of personality is going to jive in an NFL locker room. Is he going to be able to get players to buy into him like Justin Fields did? Part of the NFL is not just how good you are on the field, it's how much do people like you off the field. Russell Wilson won a Super Bowl, and the players hated him. They went after him consistently. And that dynasty, quote unquote, didn't last as long as it should have. Russell Wilson at one point was a top 6 quarterback. His teammates could not stand the guy. They won less than they should have. Should have 2 Super Bowl rings. They have 1. That's obviously a clear good accomplishment, but it should have been more. Part of how dominant and how great you can be is how good you are in the locker room, how much of a leader you are. Caleb Williams at times not answering to the media in college when he hasn't done squat in the NFL, crying to his mother, painting the nails, it all just screams for more attention. I don't know how well that's going to work in the NFL. I don't know, and here's my biggest question. I don't know if Caleb Williams knows how to lose. His entire career, from Pee Wee up until college, he was the most talented quarterback in the room. He's the most talented quarterback on the field. He won all the time. He loses a couple of games at USC. We see what happens. He cracks. Instead of being the leader, he was crying in the stands. You can defend it all you want. We can all agree that was strange. Tom Brady wasn't doing that. Patrick Mahomes wasn't doing that. It's strange. And now you add the factor of, in the NFL, what happens if he goes on a 4-game losing streak? Rookie quarterbacks, although Caleb Williams is in a very different position, meaning he was walking into a pretty good situation. But most rookie quarterbacks are walking into a team that isn't very good. They lose a lot. How's Caleb Williams going to handle that? My thoughts on Caleb Williams have never been the dude can't play. I've seen him. The arm angles, the arm talent, the accuracy, the guy can play. My questions have always been, is the way that he conducts himself going to work in a locker room? We've seen him cry in the stands. We've seen the painted nails. We've seen the F Utah on the painted nails. It's different. It's not what everyone else is doing. He's trailblazing his own route, and it might work, but we don't know if it's going to. We've never seen a player with the personality like Caleb Williams walking in with as high as expectations as he does, trying to make it in the NFL. It's just different. It's what my main concern has always been. A guy that has won everywhere, and the second he starts to lose, he's crying in the stands. How is that going to work in the NFL? I think these are all more than appropriate questions to ask for a guy with as high as expectations as Caleb Williams has.